Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're exploring a topic that sounds like it's pulled from a science fiction movie, but is rapidly becoming our reality. The nature of warfare is changing. The thunder of jets and the march of soldiers are being replaced by the silent, persistent hum of algorithms and remote controls. We're talking about unmanned warfare. But what happens when the most critical decisions on the battlefield are no longer made by people, but by machines? Let's get into it. The first big step in this revolution is something you've definitely heard of: armed drones, or unmanned aerial vehicles. These are aircraft piloted by someone sitting in a control room, potentially thousands of miles away. Proponents argue that this is a good thing. They say drones offer incredible precision. An operator can conduct surveillance on a target for hours or even days, theoretically increasing the certainty of identification and reducing the risk to innocent civilians. Some experts even believe they can be more discriminate than a pilot in a cockpit. However, this practice of targeted killings via drone strike is hugely controversial. Critics argue that when these strikes happen outside of a recognized war zone, they could be seen as extrajudicial executions, violating fundamental human rights. The legality is a tangled mess, and tragically, devastating mistakes still happen. You may remember the August 2021 drone strike in Afghanistan that killed 10 civilians, 7 of whom were children. This remote control warfare also introduces a strange psychological element. Does making life or death decisions from the safety of a control room an ocean away create a moral hazard, making those decisions easier to make? It's a question ethicists are grappling with. But as startling as remote-controlled drones are, they are just the beginning. The next frontier is the development of lethal autonomous weapon systems, often called LAWs, or, more bluntly, killer robots. These are weapons that can independently search for, identify, target, and kill human beings without any direct human control. The machine makes the final call. This is where the debate moves from complicated to potentially terrifying. The first massive problem is what experts call the accountability gap. Think about it. If an autonomous weapon unlawfully kills civilians, who is held responsible? A machine can't be put on trial. It has no criminal intent. So is it the programmer who wrote the targeting software, the manufacturer who built the weapon, the commander who deployed it? Our current legal systems have no clear answer, leaving a potential vacuum where no one is truly accountable for a wrongful death. The second huge issue is whether a machine can ever comply with the core principles of war, known as International Humanitarian Law. One of these core principles is distinction, the ability to differentiate between a combatant and a civilian. This is an incredibly difficult task that even highly trained human soldiers struggle with in the chaos of conflict. Can we truly expect an algorithm, no matter how sophisticated, to make such a nuanced judgment with the required accuracy? Proponents suggest that maybe they could be better than humans. A robot wouldn't have a self-preservation instinct, which could eliminate a shoot first, ask questions later mentality. But this optimistic view is countered by major concerns about biases being programmed into AI, and the horrifying potential for these weapons to be used for oppression or terror. So, what is the world doing about this? Well, the international community is trying to figure it out, but it's not easy. At the United Nations, experts have been debating laws for years, but they can't reach a consensus. Some are calling for an outright ban on the development and use of killer robots. Others are pushing for a regulatory approach, one that would demand meaningful human control over any weapon system, ensuring a person always has the power to override the machine and make the final decision. To make things even more complex, drone technology is spreading. Commercial drones are being adapted for military use by all sorts of groups, making any attempt to control their spread incredibly difficult. We find ourselves at a critical juncture. The technology of war is outpacing the laws of war. The decisions being made today in labs and in diplomatic meetings will shape the future of conflict, and the protection of human life for decades to come. It's a challenge to balance legitimate security needs with the fundamental principles of humanity that our laws were built to protect. Thanks for tuning in to G Fun Facts Online.